Welcome back to Mountaineer Rants. I'm Terry. This is Paul. Good to be with you again. We're here to talk about the game coming up Saturday, West Virginia at Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma. Fox Sports, 7 p.m.
Previously ranked number 10 in the country. They lost last week and they've dropped down to like 17th.
They've lost 2 in a row.
2 in a row, but they're the ranked team on our schedule with a winning record, and we play away, and the odds makers are going to say we're what?
13 points underdogs is what I heard. Interesting, though. You know, we played out there 2 years ago and lost on a field goal right at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And then we beat them in Morgantown last year. So let's.
So they may have some revenge. Let me give you some briefing on Oklahoma. Last year, Oklahoma lost every close game. They ended the season 6-7, and they went 0-5 on single-score games. The Vegas set Oklahoma's win total for this year at 9.5.
Yeah.
Now, right now, they're on a 2-game losing streak. In fact, they've got some other problems on their offense. They had 7 turnovers in the last 3 games. 4 were all they had in the first 6 games, and they've had 3 in each of the last 2 games, and both of them were losses by 1 score.
Yeah.
Brent Venables is their coach. He's a defensive guy. He came from Clemson. Lincoln Riley got the hell out and went to University of Southern California, which goes to show you a ranked team with a big program can still lose their coach to another program, and Lincoln Riley is not exactly tearing them up. They've not exceeded expectations.
Although he had a Heisman Trophy winner last year, and so he attracted a lot of attention, even though USC's not that very good in the win-loss record.
The question is whether or not he got out because he didn't want to go to the SEC with Oklahoma. Oklahoma and Texas are the 2 that are bailing on the Big 12, but hanging around for a couple of years until the money gets right, and then next year we'll have a new Big 12.
Yeah, and then Riley, after going to USC, now they're going to the Big 10. Right. So you forget. Maybe you didn't want to come to the.
He thought he was going to be in the Pac-10.
Now he
may have to play Rutgers. Fly all the way across the country to play in New Jersey
or Maryland. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Oklahoma. Yes. Oklahoma has 2 losses. They beat Arkansas State in their first game. Arkansas State's a Sun Belt team that's 5-4 in the Sun Belt. They beat them 73-0. They beat SMU. The SMU is a 7-2 in the American Athletic Conference. They beat them 28-11. Not
TCU
really
beat
impressive.
SMU, so remember that. That's a team that we went and beat down there. So, but that was early in the season for Oklahoma.
That was early in the season. Then they beat Tulsa 66-17. Tulsa's not a winning team. They're 3-6 in the American Athletic Conference. And by the way, if you take Tulsa and spell it backwards, it spells a slut. I just thought to be. The readers can thank me for knowing that.
People that live there are very proud.
Very proud. They beat Cincinnati 20-6, not exactly pounding them. And Cincinnati, of course, is 2-7. They beat Iowa State 50-20. Iowa State's 5-4.
That's a pretty impressive win because Iowa State's known for their defense, and they hung 50 points on them, which I didn't see the game, so I don't know what happened. But that is pretty impressive win right there.
Then they beat Texas 34-30, and Texas was a top-ranked team, and they were being hyped to go for the national title.
And that was a very impressive win. Oklahoma took it down and scored right at the end and won the game. It was a very good game, and it was a very good win for Oklahoma.
The following week, they messed around with Central Florida and beat them by just a couple of points, 31-29. Central Florida is a 4-5 team that you might recall the Mountaineers beat here not long ago.
In their ballpark. That game was in Norman, and Central Florida had a chance to tie it with the 2-point game.
Right.
I don't know that Oklahoma was motivated to play that game after Texas, but still that was a little closer than what we expected. But maybe that was a sign of things to come. Maybe.
Thus far, they're undefeated. I think they were ranked like 10th in the nation at that point, or certainly in the top 10.
They got up there.
Then they went and played Kansas, and they lost to Kansas 38-33. Kansas is a 7-2 team. It's a good team. I think is probably the dark horse in the Big 12. Then they lost to Oklahoma State in Bedlam. And let's talk about that for a little bit. They lost 27-24. They went into the fourth quarter taking a 21-7 lead. And then in the fourth quarter, they had many costly mistakes and ended up walking away with the loss. Their fans are really steamed about it, blaming, if you get on their boards, blaming the referees for a couple of non-pass interference calls, claiming that the Big 12 refs and the conference hates them, claiming that they don't want to see...
Which might be true.
Well, I'm not crazy about them. I've been to Oklahoma. I like a lot of the people in Oklahoma. Don't really care for the program there or in Texas. They're not classy people. Haven't been classy people since that idiot quarterback of theirs came out on our middle of our field and Baker Mayfield and annoyed me. I haven't liked him since, and nobody on Oklahoma denounced him for that. They just thought that was cute.
Well, he did some things against Kansas a few years back, grabbing his crotch and stuff, and then he went on to win the Heisman, and now all is forgiven. But
all is forgiven.
Just a real quick point of clarity: in that Bedlam game, it was 21-17 going into the fourth quarter. They weren't up 2 touchdowns, I think is what you said. But
what did I say?
You said 21-7, and I was
no, it's 21-17. They're going into the fourth quarter, but the grumblers on the board were saying things like, every close call the last 3 weeks has gone against Oklahoma. Statistically, he says it's been going on for 3 years. What are the ref of the conference wouldn't be squat without Oklahoma. They have no honor, period. Said that, well, they've tackled our receiver in the end zone at the end of the game 2 years ago and there was no call. This one was worse. We left the Big 12. They hate us. It's the Big 12 officials. And the conspiracy theorists think that the officials kept them from winning the game because Big 12 didn't want the Texas-Oklahoma departing teams in the Big 12 championship. Well, I don't either. But one way to handle that is for Kansas and West Virginia to turn around and beat Oklahoma this coming thing. But let me tell you what's really going on, because Venables a fairly honorable guy. And when asked about it, Venables says errors and mistakes were what cost Oklahoma the 27-24 loss. He said, and they were across the board. He said if they made just one fewer mistake, the Sooners might have won. Oklahoma lost 2 fumbles between the center and the quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel's one of their plums. Yeah. He's very, very good.
Used to play at Central Florida.
On first down, the center fired the football straight to the running back, Javante Barnes. He was standing next to Gabriel. The ball bounced in the air, and both of them tried to grab it, and it ends up Oklahoma State got it. Their number 12, Drake Stoops, their receiver, was coming around behind, and it kind of looked like it was going to be an end around. Oklahoma State recovered it, scored a touchdown, took a 14-7 lead.
That was Keystone's Cops, too, if you saw that play. If you haven't, I mean, it was really bad. They're beating it up in the air and then lose the ball.
You can't blame that on a ref. They looked like clods is what they did. Then the second happened in the fourth quarter. On the first play, after Ollie Gordon had just scored a touchdown to give Oklahoma State a 24-21 lead, the center snapped the ball too early and it hit Gabriel in the right knee, and of course Oklahoma State recovered it. Now, I didn't see that one.
I didn't see that.
I don't know how it is that you can have the ball hit you in the knee and you can't get it before somebody from the other side of the line gets it, but it happened.
Thinking center exchanges and snaps. 2 years ago out in Norman, Oklahoma, didn't our center have a little bit of a problem out there?
Yes.
And might have cost us a drive where we might have got a field goal. However, I think that young man will remember that, and you might see the best game you've ever seen Zach Frazier play in this game on Saturday. This is my opinion. I don't know that for a fact, but I believe you're going to see
against Oklahoma 2 years ago. West Virginia never trailed in the game until there was no time on the clock.
Right, when they kicked the
and we were down near the end zone, ready to score again, and our center snapped not once but twice.
He started once, and then he snapped it.
And that put us out of field goal range and made a difference in the game. It really hurt. But again, mistakes happen. That's why Don Nalen says that's why we play the game.
Exactly.
Anyway. Both of those teams in the Oklahoma State game had 500 yards of rushing of total offense, and both of them had fewer than 150 yards rushing. These are two teams that put the ball in the air and don't stop the other one. Oklahoma missed 17 tackles in that game. Their season high was the 18 tackles they missed against Texas. But this is the fourth game in a row that Oklahoma had double-digit missed tackles, averaging a period of 16 of them a game. Now, I don't know what that means. I'm trying to give you some reasons to be encouraged because on paper, they're a better team than us.
They got a lot more talented players. I would agree. Across the board, there's more talent on the Oklahoma team, but that doesn't make a winner.
In the game in Bedlam, they had 8 penalties and 3 turnovers. Oklahoma State only had 4 penalties and 1 turnover. That's the difference.
Yeah,
That's what happens. In the last 4 losses for Oklahoma, going back to last year, all 4 of them were 5 points or fewer. And like you said, they're on a 2-game losing streak.
It's tough. They just lost 2 games on the road to 2 pretty good teams, Kansas and Oklahoma State, and now they're coming back home. We're not the best time to play this bunch, really. They're going to be kind of loaded for bear, so we got our work cut out for us.
Let me tell you how good some of their players are. Dylan Gabriel, number 8. In the Oklahoma State game, he was 26 of 37 for 344 yards. I don't think we got that much in the air in 2 games. For the season,
the Houston game, yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
For the season, Gabriel is 206 for 289 for a 71.3% completion rate, averaging 294 yards a game, with 20 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 167. Now, for contrast, Garrett Green, our quarterback, was 97 of 183. We don't throw as much, but instead of completing 71% of his passes, he's completing 53. Instead of 20 touchdowns, he's passed for 10. And his quarterback rating, instead of 167, is 139. For comparison, the Texas 5-star Ewers, he's got a 70% completion rate. He averages 273 yards a game. We average 193. He has 13 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions, and his quarterback rating is 163. So you can tell that the elite have a substantially higher completion rate. As to their offense, they weren't so good in the past. But this year they're 7th in the nation for total offense. They're 10th in passing offense. They're 8th in scoring offense. They're 8th in passing efficiency. Dylan Gabriel ranks 4th in total offense, 5th nationally in points per game, 8th in completion percentage, 10th in passing efficiency. These guys rank way up there in all the offensive categories. And their problem last year, they're still irritated with their offense this year. They have a wide receiver named Drake Stoops, number 12. He averages 10.2 yards per catch in receiving.
He's a possession guy. They throw it to him a lot. He throws it to him a lot.
Nick Anderson, number 4, their other, is number 1 in the nation in yards per catch at 24.85. He's their deep threat. Yep. He's also number 14 in receiving touchdowns. He's caught for 8 touchdowns. These are top-notch players. We don't have anybody comparable to these guys. Then they have a couple of running backs. They have Tawi Walker.
Who's dealing with a little bit of an injury, an ankle injury is my understanding, but he might probably going to be healthy by our game.
That's number 29. He ranks 59th. That's not an 105 in yards per rush, 5, and 105th in rush yards per game. They have Jail Farouk. He in all-purpose yards, number 3.
Exciting kid. He's a game breaker type. That guy can make things happen. So we got to be watching.
And he does our kickoff returns. Yep. He ranks like 32nd in kickoff returns. Yep. Sorry about the nerd stuff, but we'll get to the analysis. Now, last year, their defense ranked 82nd in the nation for yards per play allowed and 99th in points allowed per game. They were 88th in third down defense and 104th in red zone touchdowns allowed. Well, just the third down defense and the red zone touchdowns allowed has changed from 88th on third down defense to 11th in the country. And they're 104th in the red zone touchdowns allowed. They're now 27th in the country. They rank number 2 in the nation for interceptions. They've intercepted 15. They rank 5th in the nation for takeaways. They've taken away 19. They rank 8th in the nation for tackles for loss. They average tackling us for a loss for 7.9 yards per game. And they're 10th in the nation on turnover margin. They're plus 0.89.
They're an attacking defense that wants to force you into mistakes. But they're also susceptible to big plays as a result of that. They're going to try to come. They're going to try to pressure us. You're going to try to get in the backfield. And if you can beat them, you can break off long runs or you can get big plays against them. But that's what he teaches. That's the kind of defense they play.
They have 2 or 3 defensive guys to watch out for. Peyton Bowen, number 22, is number 1 in the nation in blocked punts.
Need that.
Gavin Freeman, number 82, is number 2 in the nation in punt return touchdowns and number 13 in punt return yardage average.
So they're very good in special teams.
Danny Stutzman, he's their hotshot linebacker. He's been injured. He
Makes a bunch of tackles. He
got hurt in the Kansas game. And they lost Kansas and they lost Oklahoma State. He's back. They expect him to have him back.
He's going to play. He's still dealing with a little ankle thing too, but
he leads the team in tackles, and he's 10th in the nation for tackles for a loss, and he's 25th in the nation for total tackles per game. They have the stats.
He's around everywhere.
And you heard who they played. They didn't play cupcakes. I mean, they didn't play the toughest schedule in the world, but they didn't play cupcakes. They have very few penalties. They're 108th in the nation, 7.1 yards per game, and 98th in penalty yards. So very few penalties. They have 5 offensive linemen that play pretty much every snap. Walter Rouse is the left tackle, number 75. He's 6'6", 323 pounds. Caden Green is the left guard. He's a freshman, 6'5", 316 pounds, number 70. Their center, this guy Andrew Rayam, number 73, is also 305 pounds. He's 6'4". McQuaid Meditor is their right guard. He's a redshirt senior, 316 pounds, and he's number 72. Tyler Guyton is the right tackle, a 328-pound redshirt junior, number 60. And, of course, Dylan Gabriel, number 8. Has also played every snap.
I understand those linemen hold a little bit. I think someone complains. Well, it's an inside joke. When we watch Oklahoma, no matter who they're playing, he says they hold all the time. And they do hold a lot, but then everybody does. Oklahoma just doesn't seem to get it flagged on them, and I don't know what that is. You're going to see some serious holding going on in this game.
Oklahoma
Whether they call it or not, I don't know.
Especially their offensive line holds every single play, and it's horrible. And I don't like the fact that offensive linemen can hold and don't get called. But it's particularly bad with this team. This team is notorious for holding. Oklahoma State holds a little bit. Texas holds a lot. But the Kansas teams, I don't see that. You don't hear me grumbling about the Kansas teams. But Oklahoma, they're holding all the damn time. And they're the bastages are talking about getting penalties called on them. They should have flags thrown all the damn time. We're going to be in Norman. They're going to get away with it again.
Yeah. He didn't start seeing this till he bought the big screen TV. And he's even said, maybe I just never saw it before. But no, you can't watch a game with Oklahoma with him because he's just going to yell that they're holding all the time. But anyway.
They're big. They have big linemen. They're deep. When somebody goes down, another guy comes in, and he's big too. I don't think this Oklahoma team is gelled yet. I think they can be beat. But nothing on paper would cause me to predict the Mountaineers can beat them.
There's one thing that jumps out at me when I poured over and looked at all this. They average giving up 134 yards rushing a game. Now, they only average giving up less than 20 points a game. But if we can get 130 some yards rushing against them, maybe we can control the ball, much like the same game plan we used when we went out there 2 years ago. I believe that's what our game plan will be going in. You can't let them break big plays, and they've got the people that can do it. They have running backs that can make two people miss and they're gone, much like Ollie Gordon. They got receivers that can flat out outrun you, and Gabriel can get them the ball. And Gabriel won't give you the ball much, and they won't give us the ball
turn
much.
It over much.
And
they will take it off of you. They will intercept you.
It's a tall order. That's why we're 13-point underdogs.
There is some reasons to be optimistic, though, because except for Arkansas State and Tulsa, they haven't scored a lot. No, I take that back. They put 50 up on Iowa State.
Yeah.
They're generally in the 20s to 30s, particularly against the good teams. And West Virginia, like I said, has scored 100 and some points in the last 3 or 4 games. They're putting points up on the board, and there's no reason to think we can't do it again. I think there were still bullets in our gun in the last couple of games.
I agree. Definitely in the BYU game because we just pounded it. We didn't really do it.
And we didn't turn Garrett Green loose and all of that. Now, they're going to be away. They're going to be nervous. They're going to be, and Garrett Green has a excitable side to him.
We had some calming tea, I think you said on this podcast.
Yeah. But I think the Mountaineers,
some chamomile or something.
I think the Mountaineers can do the impossible right here. They can knock this team off.
They got Gatorade here, got All Sport. Oh no, you green chamomile tea. Anyway, sorry. I don't know that we can. It's a tall order. It'd have to go right. They would have to help us. I don't know we can play straight up and beat them. If this is like the Penn State game where we play almost flawless and they play almost flawless, I think they beat us. We have to force a mistake
against
or get
Oklahoma
a
State. They had 8 penalties and 3 turnovers.
Yep.
Give me that,
I'll
I'll beat you. Give me that, and I'll beat you. In the meantime, I need to beat you because you're off to the SEC.
Yeah.
And goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye and good riddance.
Yeah. But this will be our last time to knock them off. And by the way, we've beaten Oklahoma 3 times, and we spread it around among the coaches.
Neyland did it in '82.
Stewart did it in the bowl
when Rich Rod ran out,
and Brown
did it last year.
I don't think Rodriguez or Holgerson did. No.
But and we were at that game last year in the rain and the cold and watched that field goal go through. That was a wonderful thing, especially after the year before when they had the field goal go through to beat us, and we had put a superhuman effort in to keep that game close because I think they were favored like 20 points in that game because we were not supposed to have any kind of chance, and we gave it up.
Cincinnati held them to 20 points. I don't think Cincinnati's that good defensively.
No.
Kansas let them score 33 points, and
Kansas,
of course, I don't think Kansas tackles.
They don't really tackle.
Oklahoma State only let them score 21 points, but they turned the ball over a bunch. It's a hard one to guess.
The game is, if you look at the way they run the ball up and down the field, them and their opponents, but then the points, so it may come down to red zone too. I know you hear our coaches say that when we get inside the 20, we got to score a touchdown. We can't settle for the field goals. We even did that in the BYU game. That was something I might complain about. We had a couple times where I thought we should score touchdowns. But overall, I don't know. Again, they're going to have to help us or we're going to have to make our breaks. I don't think we're going to win this game.
You'd be foolish to pick Mountaineers to win this game, which is why I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say we upend them. We exceed expectations again and upset them. But again, that's why you play the game.
I say we lose it 31-20. I don't want to say that. I don't want to predict that. Now, I hope I'm wrong. But
I don't think you can hold these Mountaineers to 20 unless we screw up, unless we turn it over. I think if we hold them to 24 points like Oklahoma State did, I think we beat them 31-24.
Well, one thing's for sure. We'll know this pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
Thanks for watching. We will see you next time.